Dr. Ira Lake, and welcome to the Dr. Lake Show. Today we have a special guest and a special program that I'm so glad that you are going to tune in on and see. Our special guest today is Bishop Kenneth Wells from the Spirit of Love Church in San Bernardino, California. He has a unique story, and I think you are going to be blessed from watching this broadcast. Bishop Wells, I want to thank you for coming on and being a part of our show.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself before we delve into your story.
Well, I am a husband, father, grandfather, musician, radio announcer, and all of that. You know, I do a lot. I keep myself, got a little Jamaican in me, as they say. Yeah. So, and I pastor the Spirit of Love Church in San Bernardino. I've been pastoring this ministry for 22 years, 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Always in San Bernardino.
Yeah, always pastored here in San Bernardino.
So how long have you been married?
Been married, see, you're going to get me in trouble, 32 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 32, 33, one of those. Yeah, 32.
Well,
I'm trying to do the addition in my head.
And
Yeah,
how many children?
We have 3 children. Yeah, so, and their ages are 32, 30, and about to turn 21.
Wow, so you have adult children.
Yeah, they're all out of the nest. Well, no, they're not all out the nest. One's still there. So I love my kids, though. You know, we have a very close family. So yeah.
The reason why I'm glad you're with us here today is because you have a very unique story. We often talk about infidelity, and we always talk about it from the woman's perspective. The man has stepped outside the relationship, and we always get it slanted toward what the women go through. But your story is unique because you have gone through it multiple times.
Yeah.
My first question that I had in my mind was, what kept you?
Mm-hmm.
What kept you emotionally? What kept you from throwing in the towel and giving up? You had biblical grounds if you wanted to.
Right.
What kept you going?
And you know, and I don't want to, sound spiritual, but I mean, it's the fact of the matter is, if I didn't have God, I wouldn't have made it. You know, it was a very devastating, thing for me to experience. And I say that women, because it happens to women all the time, and women are special. Some of the stuff I'm like, you mean women be taking this stuff, and still haven't killed anybody yet, but when I went through it, it was a trying time, and I wasn't built for it, but I just know that anything that God gives us, we can make it through it. Mm-hmm. So just knowing that I had God and really talking to Him a lot, hearing His voice, and allowing Him to minister to me is really what kept me.
Research shows and tells us that when men go outside of the relationship, more often than not, the wives or the women are able to forgive and move on and reconcile. Mm-hmm. That same research shows us that when women go outside the relationship, men have a hard time staying in it because it's a humongous blow to their ego, their pride.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It did something to my ego. The first thing, I wanted to know was what was I not doing, So it really messed me up. It took me to a place, even being a pastor, it doesn't, being the title did not cover me to the point where it didn't mess me up, because I was like messed up. And it messed with my ego to the point where I even allowed the enemy to deal with me. I retaliated. I went out because I felt like, well, hey, if she doesn't, because I was faithful for 22 years, didn't look at women, wasn't interested in them. I had a beautiful wife at home, So after this final time, because, you know, it was multiple times that she had messed around, I was just like, hey, if she doesn't appreciate me being faithful, then I won't be, you know. And that really messed with me for a while. And I stepped out, but I couldn't do it. Just the conviction, you know, of it, just, it wasn't for me. So I was just like, well, okay, we're not going to play no games. Either we're going to work on this or we're not going to work on it, you know. And pretty much, you know, the book that I've written, When Perfect Is Not, kind of deals with how you come through it, you know. I went through some crazy stuff. You just, you know, and in the book, I asked, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, when somebody cheats on you, you don't need to know, you know, a whole lot. You know, you just need to know they cheated. And that's how I was on the first one. You know, I was kind of like, I just played it off. Okay, well, we're going to move past this. You know, you erring, you know, and I just brushed it off, you know. But if I'd have known years later that there was really an issue there, I would have dealt with it differently, you know. And so my final time in asking, you know, what's going on, I really went into depth. I had to know, you know. I don't want to know what positions and all that kind of stuff, but I need to know who you been with, where, how many times, so that I can know that you really at this level. And when everything really came out, I was blown away. I was looking like, I know this ain't the same woman that I've been with all these years, because, you know, the wife that I knew, she was the perfect wife. You know, she was a great mom, great wife, and the most important thing is she was my best friend. So there was just no evidence, you know, of infidelity. And when it all came out, the shock for me, the trauma part, was when reality kicked in that she did all this stuff. It takes you to an emotional place where I don't wish, like right now with my couples at my church, I'm dealing with them. I don't wish this on anyone. You know, it's like somebody, it's like getting gang whipped, you know, in your spirit and in your heart, you know. And it's a very, very devastating thing, you know.
Hold that thought, Bishop. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Five Star Automotive, your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Here at 5 Star Automotive, you're always family. So you can come on in and relax, knowing that we specialize in oil changes, brake jobs, tune-ups, engine repairs, foreign and domestic cars. You say you're running low on cash? No problem. We have some financing programs that can help you pay later and get on the road today. So come on down to 5 Star Automotive, located here in the beautiful city of San Bernardino, California.
Welcome back to the Dr. Lake Show with our special guest, Bishop Kenneth Wells. So let's go back, Bishop, and let's unpack a little bit of this as you're comfortable sharing with our viewing audience. You mentioned there was multiple times that your wife went outside the relationship. Let's go back to the first one, and what alerted you, what made you suspect that something like this was going on?
Well, I didn't. That's the crazy thing about it. I didn't suspect anything. I mean, you know, my wife she was a good wife. She was just the perfect, you know, perfect wife. You know, she did everything right. And I remember one time somebody came up to me and asked me, and it was like, y'all okay? You know, is everything okay with you and your wife? And I kind of got offended, because I was like, what do you mean, is everything okay? Of course, you know, we good. You know, what you asking for, you know? But that person later on, she knew because the word had gotten out to her. And instead of her saying, look, you know, you need to, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that, you know, just none of that. I wish someone would have came to me and gave me a hint, because it would have saved many of years of problems. But I didn't deal with it because I didn't know it needed to be dealt with, you know. So I had no idea the first time that it came out, and this is the craziest thing. My son was very young, and he, you know, sometimes people get sloppy, and my son had actually saw some things, you know. He mentioned to me, he was only about 7 years old, you know, he mentioned to me. And then I brushed it off. I think I may have confronted it and she denied it. And then maybe a year later, he's sitting on the couch next to me and he brings it up again, you know, and I'm like, why is he saying this, you know? And that time when he said it, I really heard the voice of the Lord tell me something went on and go up and confront her. So I went upstairs, confronted her, and she ended up, you know, and it was hard for her to confess it, but she did, you know, confess it. And she promised me that she'd never do it again. So I'm ready to move on. I'm like, okay, she erred, you know, let's move on. And
Did you go to counseling? Did you guys go to some kind of therapy? Or we just kind of moved it on?
At that time, it was kind of a brush off, you know. It's kind of like, you know, she had just, I thought, well, you know, she just got caught up, you know, in a moment, whatever, you know, and I brushed it off. And, you know, just seeing her, you know, crying and all that kind of stuff, showing me some type of remorse, I really felt like, okay, well, we're going to get through this, you know. Matter of fact, the day that she told me, I actually prayed with her, hugged her, and I forgave her then. I tried to move on, you know. And I think she was sincere, you know, at that point. But, you know, she was in the gospel music industry, so she sang, she traveled. And the gospel music industry sometimes can be as scandalous as the secular, you know, industry. But that's another story, another show, you know. But, so, you know, years later, I guess she probably did well for a while, and then she got caught up into it again, you know. She's a very attractive woman, you know, and I guess, you know, men coming and flirting with her, she didn't know how to handle that, you know, so.
Okay, so you were able to move past the first one. There was a little body blow to you.
Yeah.
But you recovered well. And how often did you think about it, talk about it, or you just after that one big confessional?
No, I talked about it. As a matter of fact, in the book, I did put, I think that it's important that even once it is resolved, if a person needs to talk about it, the offender needs to listen. You know, that's one of the things that I have. People ask me sometimes, well, you know, how long did it take you to get over, you know, this trauma? And normally what I tell them is, I'll let you know when I get over it. You know, it's been, for me, it's been 10 years since the last confession, and it's still raw. You know, I don't care how much you know Jesus. I don't care how much you pray. You know, I don't care how spirit-filled you are. You're still human, and there's still a human side of you that has to be dealt with. You know, so as a matter of fact, I was sharing with some of my church mothers just recently, and I asked them, I said, you know, you all tell me what you think about this. And I said, you know, I kind of shared with them, my wife, she messed around many years. I messed around for a month. I said, is it equal? You know? So they said, yeah, it's equal, because sin is sin. You know, and I told her, I said, well, I'm going to show you, you know, in the scriptures where that's not necessarily true. Because even in the natural, the law of natural, there are citations, and then there's certain things that will put you in prisons, and there's different kind of prisons you have. So then they started like, okay, I get it, you know. So I was trying to tell them that it takes longer for me to get over mine, because I loved differently. think I'm jumping into something else now.
No, that's all right. No,
But the reason why it takes me so long to get over this is because if I would have done the same things that she did, I would have been easier to say, okay, well, I'm just as guilty. But at that time, when you know that you have been faithful to someone for so many years, and that you loved a person a certain way and find out that they weren't loving you the same way, it's very traumatic, So it's taken me longer because my love was hard and my love was deep for her, and for me to kind of like say, well, you didn't love me like that, even though I forgive. And here's another thing is people say, well, you need to move on. I have moved on. And the sign of that is we're still together.
Yes.
And we're still together and we're not in an abusive, she's not in an abusive relationship. She's still my best friend. And that's one of the things that really saved our marriage, is because through it all, she's always been my best friend. So even when I looked at her, I still looked at her like, she's a wonderful person, So that really helped me stay, with her. And she's had to work hard. The person that is the offender, I tell them, it's kind of like a person on probation. You lose rights, So she has the right to show me and prove to me that she'll never do it again, and that she really does love me, Because we had some crazy confessions. When we talk, I was like, I want to know how you feel about me, and I was crushed. My wife told me that she was not in love with me, and I was just like, what? Well, am I in love with you? And I was in love with her, but through the process of me seeing where she was, I kind of my friendship is still there. Let me tell you this, and I do counseling too, and we did a class, and the class said there's two things in a relationship that you can have. One is passion, and the other one is commitment. So we had to come to an honest truth that in our marriage, we're in it because of commitment. So I want to tell everybody that's married and you're in your marriage and you have passion, fight for the passion, to keep the passion, because being in a marriage because of commitment is not fun. That's not, you don't want to lose the passion. You don't want to be in it for the commitment to say, well, we have our children, we have this, we have so much together, and you can get the passion back, but there's a lot of things to consider, and there's a lot of work that you'll have to do.
Hold that thought. This is really getting good. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, my days today. Oh, on the lake until the rising sun.
Glad you are back with us with our special guest on the Dr. Lake Show, Bishop Kenneth Wells of the Spirit of Love Church in San Bernardino, California. I hear so many couples argue back and forth about why they should stay in a marriage, but they never talk about love and passion.
Yeah.
It's always financial, or the kids, or I don't have any other options.
Yeah.
And those kind of marriages don't stay together, or things will continue to occur.
Yeah.
Now, major trust was broken that first time. And when you go through it multiple times, tell our viewing audience, does, at least for you, does trust ever come back the way it was in the beginning?
Where I am right now, I would say, since you said the way it was in the beginning, I don't think so. I don't think so. And it does not mean that I haven't forgiven.
Yes.
Because people are so quick, spiritual people, well, you didn't forgive her because, no. It's just like someone that has been raped. You never forget. You probably moved on, but every time you think of someone violating you, it always brings a certain something out of you because you're human. So I love my wife. She's still my best friend. When I go places, I don't want to be with no one else but her. But there are times when I just say, this chick right here, it amazes me. And I don't think, I don't like that, but that's just the reality.
There are consequences to our choices.
Thank you.
And for the rest of the marriage, there is a possibility that the consequences, meaning I don't trust you like I used to, I'm still getting triggered.
Right.
And I'm going to be asking you things to make sure that I'm all right.
I'm glad you said the word triggered because I put that in the book. There are certain things. There's certain movies that I can't watch that triggers. There's certain things, especially you can't listen to certain songs, and there's just certain things that just trigger you to just make you feel that certain way. Now the Bible says angry but don't sin.
Right.
So it's kind of like, that anger comes up, that disappointment, because that's what I am.
Yes.
Every time I think about it, I'm just disappointed in her and that it ever happened, So, I can't, I don't know, it's the trust factor thing for me is, and I almost feel like when we went and got counseling, and we did go get counseling, I highly recommend counseling. When we did get counseling, our counselor, he told me, he says, you're going to have to become vulnerable. And I was like, you have lost your mind. I am not becoming vulnerable to the sense of where, I'll just put it like this. Don't be crazy now. You can be, I understand, vulnerable to the point where I'm going to work on this, but I'm not crazy. It's like it's happened 3 times. I'm not going to let it happen again. So things have definitely changed, when she travels now, I'm like, no, you got to take somebody with you, So, there's things that have changed. I wouldn't, no. I don't trust me, so I ain't trusting her.
Now look, that's real,
right.
And it's honest,
right?
And that's really what happens.
Yeah.
See, people, let's just pray about it. So I do believe in forgiveness, and I do believe that forgiveness can happen instantly.
Yes, sir.
But people confuse forgiveness with reconciliation.
Yes.
Reconciliation is the process of fixing that is now broken. I can't tell you how long it's going to take.
That's right.
When you've had multiple of the same infraction,
right.
Ooh.
And people are built differently.
Yes.
For me, it was very hard because I came up in dysfunction. So I had it in my mind that I'm going to be the best husband, the best father, the best everything, because I didn't get that. So here I am doing this, and then this still comes into my life. Man, I was mad. I was just like really disappointed because I'm like, this was not supposed to happen, but it did.
It appears to me, and I'm not trying to clinically assess you, but that first incident, you tended to bury it. And I have a theory that when you bury things, it has a way of coming back, because certain things you should never bury.
Right.
The government contracted with some a large corporation to come in and get rid of some hazardous waste in a certain community in our country. They came in with these big trucks and these silver containers, and they went about collecting all of this hazardous corrosive material, and they put it in these containers, sealed them up, dug holes in the ground, put them in the ground, covered it up, said, we need our money now, we've done this job. 3 months later, that corrosive, hazardous material broke through or ate out the steel containers, worked its way back up to the soil, contaminated the soil, the water. People were becoming sick, and the health experts couldn't understand what was going on because they couldn't see nothing.
Right.
We bury things in our minds.
Right.
And it's really supposed to be let go, not buried.
Right.
Because if I bury it, it becomes bitter poison.
Right.
And it begins to corrode and corrupt. That's why I was asking, about, did you guys go to counseling, or how quickly did you move on?
Right.
Because it came up again.
Right. Right. Yeah. You can't ignore things, and you have to talk. It's kind of like, it's unfortunate. We talk about everything in our family, and everything that we do. For instance, like for 18 years or however long it was, that was a part of my life. So anything that I talk about within that time, that comes up. I want to know, well, how were you feeling at that time? So even though it's been 10 years since she really confessed everything, has it been 10 years? Yeah, 10 years, going on 11 years, we still will talk about it. At least I will bring it up and ask her, because she doesn't talk about it that much, but for me, I'll ask her, how you doing? And I'll still ask her, you still straight? You still, you still been faithful? You all right? I don't know, because she was able to do everything so well hidden, that I'm watching everything now. I believe the best, and hoping the best, and she's, saying that she's gonna be, faithful. So I'm hoping that. But at the same token, I sleep with one eye open.
That's real talk.
It is. You got to do it. I watch.
That's right.
I watch, her. I watch how she maneuvers with men and all that kind of stuff. You can't be crazy. That's just it.
And Bishop, hold that thought. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Five Star Automotive, your one-stop shop for all your automotive needs. Here at 5 Star Automotive, you're always family. So you can come on in and relax, knowing that we specialize in oil changes, brake jobs, tune-ups, engine repairs, foreign and domestic cars. You say you're running low on cash? No problem. We have some financing programs that can help you pay later and get on the road today. So come on down to 5 Star Automotive, located here in the beautiful city of San Bernardino, California.
Welcome back to the Dr. Lake Show with our special guest, Bishop Kenneth Wells. Now that you have been alerted,
Absolutely.
and now you are on hyper alert. See, this has happened multiple, so you have a hypersensitivity to it.
Yeah.
And do you sometimes feel like you might rush to judgment because you're getting triggered and you're so sensitive to it? Do you ever ask her, hey, even though...
Because of me,
Yes.
and who I am, not much.
Okay.
And see, I'm a different species, because other men would have locked her in the house, in the closet somewhere, and I don't do that. You listen to Yolanda Adams had a husband that locked her in the closet.
Yeah.
And I've never been that type of person. I just, it's too much energy. I have too much life in me to be worrying about that. And I've really prayed. I just put it like this. I said, God, if she ever does this again, you got to get my back and let me know. So I'm moving on with life. I'm putting everything else on the Spirit of God. Because everything else was Spirit revealed to me before anyway. So it's like, if it happens again, and the fruit that I see in her now, and I do want to, if she ever watches this, I do want to put this disclaimer out, and I said this in my church service Sunday. The woman that she is now is not who she was 10 years ago. And I see different fruit. And when I think about it, it's like, man, I should have been a little more alert because she didn't have the fruit. She was a good person, but I didn't really see the fruit that I see in her now.
She had more of the gifts of the Spirit instead of the fruits.
Yeah. So,
How did that rock the church, or what impact did this have upon your church? You founded this church.
Yeah. I'm really grateful that my church displays their name, the Spirit of Love Church, and love forgives, love hopeth, beareth, all things, right, he's got it over there. And they were really, really good. And one thing, see, I'm not a fake person, I basically had to repent to my church. When I went out, I didn't wait years later because I was just like, okay, I can't do this. This guilt is too heavy on me. I think a month later, I was before the church. Y'all, I'm sorry. I fell short. Please forgive me. I'll never do it again, But before that, my church had known about my wife. And I was kind of mad inside, because when I tell you that they loved my wife, I'm like, I think y'all kind of love her a little more than y'all love me, But my wife is not. She's a wonderful first lady. She's a mother to a lot of the young people, So when she actually came before them, and I wish people will understand when you come clean with people and you pour your heart, people will forgive you. That's the problem that we have in the church. Pastors trying to hide stuff, leaders trying to hide stuff. When you really come out with remorse and you're really repentful, people can hear your heart and they're willing to forgive you. But if you're trying to do a little sham, they know when you're real or not.
That's right. That's right.
Especially the millennials. Millennials can read you real quick.
That's true.
And that's why even at my church is probably 75% millennials. I have to be real with them. I have to talk, none of this crazy stuff. And they can read right through it. And it draws them.
How embarrassed were you to even get up in the pulpit and admit that? Because, the people or our parishioners, they have an expectation on on their pastors and their marriages that they are perfect, that everything is great. Was it embarrassing for you?
Of course it was. I was real ashamed, especially because, I preach against fornication and adultery and, I preach against sin, period, and then have to come up and, deal with this on myself. I was real embarrassed. Matter of fact, I'm embarrassed that I had to write a book. It's not like I'm really, the book is a manual and it's good, and I don't sometimes even believe that I wrote it, so I know that I give credit to God. But a lot of times when I'm out selling it and stuff, I'm still embarrassed, because it's just like, this shows that my marriage was not perfect and I don't want that, So I still get embarrassed. Even though I'm pushing the book, I still get embarrassed.
Well, let's talk about the book. And I love the title, When Perfect Is Not. This came out of those experiences.
Yes, sir.
And what was the objective? What is that thing or themes that you wanted the reading audience to know right off the bat from this book?
Well, it's a book, and I call it a manual for the process of infidelity. There is a process. I want people to understand that it takes time. Like I said earlier, it doesn't happen overnight. I want people to understand that if you're gonna do it, it's gonna take work.
Yes.
Okay. Not no talking. It's gonna take work, and it's gonna take patience. My wife has to be very patient with me. And she said, well, can't we just move on? even if I bring it up, she's like, well, just can't wait. It's like, I'm moving on. That's why I'm talking about this. Because if I don't say nothing,
Yep.
you know, I don't want me to, I'll come up with my own conclusions. And you don't want that to happen. Because my mind would tell me all kinds of things. So it's just easier that if I have a question about something, let me ask you. Because my mind is going to take me on a trip. And that's not going to always be good, you know. So I talk about that, you know, in the book, that the offender has to be patient, and they have to allow that person to, I almost want to say, grieve.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
go through what you're going through. You got to be that patient. And if you love that person enough, you now have to become unselfish, because the person that commits infidelity is a selfish person. So now you have to become unselfish, and it's not about you. It's about you helping this person heal. And I have that. The craziest thing about it is the person that hurt you is the person that's going to heal you. My wife is my medicine. She is.
I'm glad you mentioned grieving. People don't really connect that, but they should.
Absolutely.
See, we only think of grieving as when someone dies, but we grieve all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grief is simply the emotional reaction to a loss. What did you lose?
Yeah.
And there is no timetable for grief, and everybody grieves differently.
Right.
And maybe this person can get over things quickly, and so I tell people, you cannot rush people. Oh, you should be finished in 6 months. No.
Right.
No. Because it's different for somebody else.
Right.
So I'm glad you did mention that. It's a process, just like reconciliation is a process as well. What other lesson or important truth that stands out about this book?
Let me see it. It's you know, the first chapter basically starts off talking about the confession, you know, and that's the first thing that you got to deal with. That person has to come clean, you know. Like I said before, it's more than you just telling me I cheated and I fell short.
Correct.
So the confession is, you got to tell me everything that you've offended me with, so that I can move forward, you know. And I put a little thing in there, and I actually put the quote that, you know, someone wanted to know, how do you know that your spouse is cheating on you? And I told him, Tyler Perry's Madea said, if you think they're cheating on you, they most likely are cheating on you, you know. So if there's something in you, because we're one, you know, your oneness will kind of tell you something ain't right with us, you know. I feel another person. I feel something else here, you know. And don't ignore those things. And a lot of times we ignore them. No one wants to deal with that honest truth that our spouse could be cheating.
And the same could be said for a person or a church member who knew. What do you say to your pastor?
Yeah, you know, because, you know, like I said before, I had some friends that, you know, the little people that did know. Now all of a sudden that I know, everybody want to come. Oh, well, I thought you knew. It's like, that's wrong. If you have a friend and you really, really love that person, and you know someone is being unfaithful, you as a friend or a family member is obligated to tell them. Now the reaction that they give you, you don't have to worry about that. It's just like Jonah got in trouble because he was worried about the response or the continent of the people, when all he had to do was just go give the warning. So once you go give the warning, the response is not up to you.
Correct.
And I just wish that I had some friends that would have came to me and said, look, this is what we hearing, you know. Give me some alert, give me something, you know. But nobody did that. So I really felt like my friends who kind of knew, they weren't my friends.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back after this commercial break. back to the Dr. Lake Show with our special guest, Bishop Kenneth Wells. And it's okay, Bishop, to have an emotional reaction. There's nothing wrong with that. If somebody hits me from behind, I'm going to react. The difference is, after I've weathered through that, how long do I stay in that emotional negative space? I got to get out of that. So I'm going to have a reaction when you tell me this news. I'm going to say something, do something, cuss, scream. I might take it out on you. But it's not you I'm attacking. I'm hurt. I'm wounded. I'm stunned. I'm in shock. So I know people are afraid of the emotional response or reaction, but man, we need some good friends, don't we?
Yeah, we really do. You know, and you know, like we said, it takes time. I want people to understand that we have moved forward. Being able to talk about this doesn't mean that we're stuck. You know, I had to correct somebody the other day because it was like, well, you have to do this, and I was like, what makes you think that I'm not doing that, or I haven't done that? You know, so it's just like now I'm to the point that I'm sharing this story because I want to help other people. You know, there's people. One thing I refuse to do is to go through to stay depressed. Because I would lie if I were to say that it didn't affect me, and there was a time where I was depressed, you know, but I was just like, I got to get out of this. I got to shake this. I love me too much to stay here, you know. So since I made the decision that we're gonna stay together, we're gonna work this thing out. And first of all, I gotta like me. So I did a lot of self pumping up. What's the word I want to say? Just pumping myself up, you know, making me feel good about myself, and I had to remind myself that it wasn't me. You know, you can't go through this thing just thinking that you. Some people just do what they do because of their own selfish desires, you know, and it wasn't on me, so I don't take responsibility for that.
I have a saying. It goes like this. I'm not responsible for your choices. But I can be affected by them.
Yes.
I'm not that, but I'm just simply affected by what you did, or you are affected by what I do. Now that's, when I come to that reality, I can quickly differentiate between, hey, look, I didn't do this. I'm affected by it. I don't like it. And if the roles reverse, you feel the same way.
Right.
But how can people get this book?
It's online. It's at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com. Pretty much wherever they sell, you know, digital books. And then I have copies. They can always contact me and get it. But the easiest way is just go online and purchase it.
Well, the best way is to get it to you. You get
more. Because I get
profit.
I get a little more.
You get more of that profit.
Just a wee bit more.
So, and I think your church exemplifies what the scriptures talk about.
Yes.
Sounds like Philadelphia, the Book of Revelation, Philadelphia Church, brotherly love.
Yes, they are an amazing group of people. There in the city of San Bernardino, the Spirit of Love Church. You all are amazing, and I love y'all. They have really shown love to my wife.
If those watching this program would like to fellowship with your church after listening to this testimony, how can they get there?
Come on by. We're in San Bernardino, California, 2898 North E as in Edward Street, and our services start at 10 a.m. We have a website, spiritoflovechurch.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for helping me today. I really feel like I owe you $500.
Well, you can give it to me if you like. Hey, you give me 5 heads. That's 5 fingers.
There's your 5 right there.
I want to thank you for coming and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Some people don't want to do that or be more reluctant or embarrassed to do that, but I'm thankful because I know that your testimony and what you continue to go through will be a powerful witness and will encourage and help those who are going through something similar to this. I'm just reminded of a Bible character by the name of Hosea.
Don't even bring that one. Don't bring that one up, you know, because, wait, let me tell you about that. So I have a sister in Atlanta, and I called my sister just really hoping that she would kind of like soothe my pain. You know, my baby's been hurting. So she tells me this. She says, I want you to read Hosea. So I was just like, okay, let me read it. So I'm looking in here thinking that it's going to be about this man who just kicks his wife to the curb. That just the opposite. This man had the love of God in him, and he went and got his prostituting wife out of a whorehouse. Not only that, she had kids by other men, and it just shows the forgiveness, and that just really, it just really messed me up. You know, that book right there is the heart of God and the heart of forgiveness. It's a great book.
Oh, I'm glad you made reference to it. I was taken back there, and there is a Hebrew word coming out of that book, hesed, and it means unrelenting love.
Oh, wow.
A love that will chase you down to bring you back.
Wow.
It's really a parable of God chasing after his children.
Wow.
That's the first context of it. Israel is God's wife.
Yes.
They have been unfaithful. He will chase you down and will continue to chase you down until he catches you.
Now I owe you $1,000, huh? Because that just really blessed me.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
And if we are to emulate that, but we have our limits. Well,
I want to also give a shout out to my dude Sizzle C for making this connection. I'm for referring us together. So thank you, Sizzle.
And I look forward to doing some more things in the future. I want to do some things that would be more impactful in our community. And I definitely plan on coming down to the Spirit of Love Church.
Amen. And I want to have you on my radio show. If you can get up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I'm up at 5 o'clock every day.
Right. I'd love to have you.
I would love to be there, and I look forward to some collaboration together.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been discussing your book, and how would you summarize it, and why would you recommend this to couples?
I would recommend it to couples simply because I believe that it is a manual. There's a lot of questions that have the answers there. And when I wrote the book, I was actually dealing with questions in my head, and I gave the answers. So I guarantee you, when they get the book, they won't have any unanswered questions as far as how to deal with it. And the process. So the book really deals with the process of your healing process.
The book, again, is titled When Perfect Is Not. You can go to Amazon.com. You can go to BarnesandNobles.com. Where else can we go to purchase this book?
Booksamillion.com, iTunes.com, and anywhere pretty much where digital paperbacks or books can be sold. And again, it is When Perfect Is Not, and the author is myself, initial O, Kenneth Wells.
I'm curious, what does the O stand for?
Olson Wells. Olson Wells.
Wow.
Olson, ain't that crazy?
I like that.
Olson Wells.
I could tell your era of your parents.
Right.
I want to thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Lake Show. This was powerful, what we witnessed and heard and felt in our spirits. If you have any questions about anything that you saw, you heard, you have the bishop's number or how to get his book. If you have questions that you would like me to try to answer, you can reach me at 951-774-1367. Or you can visit us at our website at www.imtasik.org. I want to thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you the next time.